Imagine being born into a prison, a creature of flesh and blood, cursed into existence, not by choice, but by the sins of others. That's the story of the Minotaur. Half man, half bull, trapped within the endless darkness of a labyrinth, fed human sacrifices to keep a king's pride intact. This is not the myth of a hero slaying a monster. This is a story of cruelty, of gods punishing mortals through the innocent, of rulers feeding children as shadows in the dark, and of a creature who never asked to be what he became. Tonight, we enter the twisting maze of Crete to uncover the nightmare of the Minotaur. But be aware, what you'll find is not just the story of a beast. It's the story of how power turns the innocent into monsters. A king's pride, a god's punishment, a beast was born. The story begins with King Minos of Crete. Arrogant, ambitious, and hungry for power, Minos asked the god Poseidon for a divine sign, a bull rising from the sea. Poseidon granted it. But when Minos kept the sacred animal instead of sacrificing it, he defied the gods. The punishment was not upon Minos, but upon his wife, Pasiphaë. Struck with a maddening lust, she was cursed to fall in love with the bull. Her obsession drove her to seek the help of Daedalus, the cunning inventor. He built her a hollow wooden cow where she hid inside to fulfill the god's twisted curse. From that union, something unnatural was born, the Minotaur, a child with the body of a man and the head of a bull. Pasiphaë loved him as a mother, but Minos saw him as shame, proof of his defiance. And so, he chose to hide the evidence of his sin, not by facing the gods, but by burying his son alive in stone. Half man, half bull, fully trapped. Minos cannot kill the Minotaur. To spill divine blood would mean more wrath from the gods. So instead, he ordered Daedalus to build a cage that no creature could escape. The result was the labyrinth, a twisting prison of stone, designed with corridors that bent into madness, chambers that led only to darkness, and passages so endless they drove men insane. Here, the Minotaur was thrown. Hidden from the world, he grew in isolation, his cries echoing through the stone until they sounded less like a man's and more like a monster's. But the labyrinth was not only a cage, it was a stage. Soon, Minos began sending sacrifices inside, enemies, criminals, and later, children from Athens. The Minotaur became a living executioner, not because he chose to be, but because he was fed nothing else. The boy born from cruelty was forced to become its instrument. Every 9 years, they sent children to keep the king's lie alive. The labyrinth's true horror began with war, when Athens fell to Crete. Minos demanded tribute. Every 9 years, 7 young men and 7 maidens will be shipped across the sea, only to be thrown into the maze. They were not sacrifices to the gods. They were sacrifices to Minos' pride. Each child wandering the endless halls, hearing the beast's footsteps go closer, was proof of his dominion. For the people of Athens, the Minotaur was a terror, a monster in the dark. But in truth, the creature was a prisoner just as much as they were. He had no voice in his fate. His hunger, his rage, his monstrous form, all were the result of choices made by gods and kings. And yet, every scream that echoed through the labyrinth fed the myth. The people believed the beast demanded blood. In reality, it was King Minos who did. A hero enters the maze, but who set the stage? When the tribute came once more, Theseus, Prince of Athens, volunteered to end the terror. Armed with cunning and strength, he entered Crete with a secret weapon, not his sword, but the love of Ariadne, Minos' daughter. Ariadne gave him a thread so that he might navigate the labyrinth. Step by step, Theseus descended into the beast's cage, the thread unraveling behind him like a lifeline. And in the heart of darkness, he found the Minotaur. Accounts say he fought the Minotaur with his bare hands, overpowering him before delivering the fatal blow. But was it heroism, or was it a slaughter? The Minotaur was not a predator hunting free. He was a prisoner, cornered in his own cell. Theseus left the labyrinth a hero, but the creature he killed was not born a monster. He was made into one. Was the beast the monster, or the system that created him? The myth tells us the Minotaur was slain, but myths twist truths into stories that serve kings. What if the creature's true crime was not his hunger, but his existence itself, a living reminder of Minos' shame? The Minotaur story reveals a darker pattern. Again and again in Greek myth, it is not the gods who suffer for their defiance, but their children, their wives, the innocent caught in divine crossfire. Pasiphaë, cursed with lust, the Minotaur, cursed with life, the children of Athens, cursed with sacrifice. Who was the true monster? A boy born of cruelty, hidden away, condemned to darkness? Or the king who turned his son into a weapon, feeding blood to stone walls to protect his pride? The Minotaur was not just a beast. He was a victim of power, and like many victims, he was silenced. The story of the Minotaur is told as a tale of heroism, a brave prince slaying a monster. But look deeper, and you'll see something else. A god's punishment, a king's cruelty, a creature born into shame, turned into a weapon, and then left to die in the darkness. Monsters are not always born. Sometimes they're created. If this story made you question what you thought you knew about Greek mythology, then make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the truths that lie in the shadows. Share this with someone who only knows the hero side of the tale. And as always, don't forget to look beyond the fog.